everybody. Welcome to our first bonus episode in a while. We haven't had a bonus episode in quite a while. And we have our very special guest of honor. But before we get to our guest of honor, I do want to introduce our original teammates on the Visioncast Network. And we're going to start with the females. We have, as usual, Rachel here. Hey, Rachel.
Hello, everyone. This is Rachel, aka Cloud11. Yep, I am on my phone today because I sold my Zoom H1. I'm waiting to get my H4. That's going to be exciting.
Yep, we will be expecting great recordings from that. Hopefully, it'll be there either on or after David's interview, which we will remind you guys because we're not done with interviews. We have one more in the pipeline, well, not in the pipeline, I should say, one more ready to go. And we're super excited to reunite with old friends, and you'll find out more as we get closer. But thanks for that. And of course, we have Nora. Hey, Nora.
Hello, everyone. Pleased to be here, and hope you all enjoy the show, the interview, and I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yep, Nora's here. And of course, we have our audio extraordinaire, well, one of our audio extraordinaires who does a good job on the backup recording and did excellent on the normal show, Salvis. Hey, Salvis.
Hey, JC. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm here accompanied with my Zoom H6 Essentials recorder.
Yep, and we're both using recorders. I'm using the H1 and you're using the H6. How convenient. But that's awesome that both recorders are being used in different situations. Alright, so we have next up our VP of the podcast, Preston. Hey, Preston. Preston, you just unmuted.
Hey, guys. Sorry, I was ordering my lunch. But anyway, this is Preston touching base on location at the moment. But I'm super excited for what's going to be discussed. And thankfully, we have a good candidate for a good interview in audio. So I'm going to let JC take it away.
All right, thank you, Preston. So, as we have said in our normal episode, we promised that we have an interview with a very special guest, and this guest is
we do.
No stranger to this podcast. In fact, this is the first time that he's ever been on our podcast in particular. He has been on others, like Living Blindfully, for instance, with Jonathan Mosen, but he has not been with us. So this is the first time that he's been with us, and hopefully more interviews to come in the future if he wants to come back. But in the meantime, we're super excited to introduce the one, the only Samuel Greene, product specialist for Zoom. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Samuel. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for having me. Very excited to be here talking about audio recorders, which is, what I do, and I love it.
Yep, the H Essentials has been a big hit, especially for blind and visually impaired folks, and it's been taking the whole community by storm. And it was first debuted at the NAMM show 2024 before it got taken off, and a lot of people have gotten interest. And when I heard about it, I was like, holy smokes. Zoom has never came out with a recorder like this, ever, until now, and I do give you guys good praise, because if it had not been for accessibility, I would have been stuck with an inaccessible recorder. Or should I say, we, meaning myself and Rachel and the rest of the team, would not be available with an inaccessible recorder. So...
And that's absolutely, it's an exciting thing for us to have put this system out there, but even better has been the response so far. And I don't want to say we're surprised at how many people have adopted it and have reached out to us and are talking about it, but it's been very fun to see and very fun to watch. For me, being new to the blind tech community, I never knew that a community could spread the word so quickly on stuff, and it blew me away how quickly news about the Essential series spread around, and which is fantastic, and was kind of exactly what we were hoping for.
Yep, and when I got that package, I just gotta say, when I opened up the box, it was kind of hard to open at first because you had to like struggle with how does this open, and it was such a small, tiny device with so
I
many
got
big
it.
features.
Easy doodles. I opened it very easily. I had no issues at all. But yeah, no, the
Package
H1
rage
is
is
a
a real
nice
thing.
recording. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. So, to start off with, and we're gonna take questions from the team, but I want to start off, and you guys can get your hands ready. So, yeah, so speaking of those recorders are very handy, especially when it, like I said, when it comes to accessibility out of the box, it really talked. So, if you can give us a brief synopsis of what the recorder is for those that have not heard of the Zoom Essential series, what is their primary usage, and how does one go about activating accessibility out of the box when one initially turns it on?
Sure. So the Zoom H Essential series are handy audio recorders, and what that means is they are portable recorders that run on batteries and record audio to an SD card. There are 3 models in the Essential series, starting with the H1 Essential, which is kind of the most basic, which has 2 XY condenser microphones built on top in a stereo arrangement. So those microphones can be used for everything from capturing dialogue to music to sound effects, um, to found sounds for music creation, any audio you might want to pick up portably. Those microphones on top will work with. And so the H1 Essential is all about being small and very easy to use. And also has some interesting features like overdubbing, which allows you to record audio and then record layers on top of it and things like that. So that is the first one, the H1 Essential. The second one is the H4 Essential, which has 2 microphones on top, very similar to the H1 Essential, but also 2 XLR TRS inputs, meaning those inputs can be used for microphones. You could take feeds from live soundboards. You can plug in keyboards, all sorts of things into that. And I'll mention now, there's on all these, there's a headphone output, so you can put on some headphones to listen while you're recording. There are built-on speakers that allow you to listen back to audio if you don't have a pair of headphones. And they can all be used as audio interfaces, meaning you can connect them via USB to PCs, Macs, Android, and iOS phones. And use it as a USB audio input into those devices. So whatever you plug into the Essential recorder would then get transferred into your computer or mobile phone. The third one is the H6 Essential, which is a 6-channel version. So you've got the 2 microphones on top, like the other ones, and 4 of those XLR TRS inputs, which allow you to plug anything you'd like into them. The H6 Essentials microphones are removable. It's a removable capsule, and so we will, in the coming months, have some additional capsules available that you could go like a shotgun microphone or a capsule that adds 2 more inputs. So that's kind of the basics of what the recorders are. They're portable. They record audio. You can use them as audio interfaces. They're used by podcasters and musicians and people that do audio for video and content creators of all sorts. And also for anybody needing a recorder for anything, if you like to have an audio recorder capture, life's moments, if you will, gatherings or, I play at an open mic night, and I usually throw the H1 Essential down on the table and just hit record. And I'm able to do that because it has 32-bit float recording where you don't even have to set the gain. You just put your SD card in, you plug in whatever you need to plug in, you hit record, and you're going to be able to record audio on the SD card. That won't clip, and even if it's a little low, volume-wise, you'll be able to raise it up in post-production without adding a bunch of noise. So 32-bit float on these recorders, this is our first handy recorders that has that technology, is huge for everybody from beginner to novice. And is even kind of an accessibility feature because it really simplifies the process of recording. And it means you don't have to monitor levels, visually or auditorily at all. And you're going to capture great audio. So that's one of the accessibility features, but obviously the bigger one built into all three of these products is the voice guidance system. And that voice guide will read out menus, will give you beeps for adjustments and the arming of tracks and all of that. The goal of the system is to allow you to navigate and use every single function of these recorders, but accessibly. And that starts from the moment you purchase the product. All three of them, when you buy them and open it up, you put the batteries in, you power it on the first time. The first thing it does is ask you if you want to turn on the voice guide. And so if you require the voice guide or would even just like to use it, as soon as you power it on the first time, it'll give you that option to do so. Other than that, you can go into the menu and turn it on. So that system allows you to navigate all through, and the recorders have been out for a few weeks now, and we've been gathering a lot of feedback. The system is not perfect. I was going to say yet, I don't know if it will be perfect, but there are definitely improvements that can and will be made. And I'll give you a little clue into the first one, which is going to be adding a shortcut to turn the voice guide on and off. As of right now, you need to go pretty deep in the menu to turn it on and off, which for turning it off is easy to do because you can be guided there. But once it's off, you kind of have to memorize 14 button click sequence to turn it back on. So adding a shortcut to turn it on and off is a really big thing that we'll be adding. And then, so that'll be the first thing. And then we have some other things that we're gathering and we're investigating. And I'll say, to anybody hearing this episode who has reached out to us to provide some feedback, and that's including JC and Rachel on this call, who I've been talking to the last couple weeks about these recorders. We can't say thank you enough for helping us to understand what we could do to try to make the system even better. And I can't promise that we can do everything, but we're going to work to try to make the system even better.
Wow, that is amazing.
That's so awesome, Samuel. That's
soon
great.
The accessibility shortcuts will be added, and not a problem. Like I said, we'll always be there, and other people will be there too to send
Definitely.
feedback. But I humbly thank you for sending us a mention, because we were the ones that sent feedback from the moment we got our recorders to now.
Definitely.
Soon to be owning the Zoom H4. I
Four.
almost said H6, but
I can't afford the H6. I'm not made of money. I'm getting
money
the
don't grow on
H4.
trees.
Salvis has the H6. I am getting the H4.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rachel's not that pricey. Don't make her join us in what she already is.
But
I don't really need 4 XLR inputs, so I really don't need that many. 2 is plenty.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about the Essential series is that, especially between the H4 and the H6, it's not a huge jump in audio quality. It's really more about how many inputs do you need. And if 2 inputs is enough, then the H4 Essential, is going to be all that you need. And then the H1 Essential having no inputs, it's if you don't need any of those inputs and you're looking for something small with the microphones built on, that's the one for you.
Yeah, I should have done my research. Well, I didn't know you when I bought the H1. I didn't know you till after, but I should have done a little bit more research. I need the H4 because it has loopback capabilities. The H1 doesn't.
That is true, yeah. So, and for anybody that doesn't know, loopback is a function in audio interface mode on these units that allows you to have it hooked up USB to your computer, and then you can play audio on the computer, and that could be from other audio software, it could be from YouTube, it could be from anything. And when you
record it.
activate loopback, it will mix in that computer audio with the microphone input coming from the recorder, and you can send it all as one audio stream to Zoom or any other software that you're using to record or stream.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm definitely interested in loopback because I have both a Mac and a PC, and I use loopback from Rogue Amoeba on my Mac. But my problem is sometimes I want to record on the PC, but the PC doesn't have loopback. So if I record it on the P4, then I could record our whole meeting on the P4 and then edit it, and it would be in really good stereo quality, which would be great. Or P4, I'm at H4. I have a Zoom PodTrack P4 as well, so that's why I said that.
Yeah,
All
I
these
I
model
like
numbers get confusing. It affects
I like
me
the
too.
P4, but it's not accessible.
Yeah.
That is true, and that's one thing to note. And just to be totally clear, the accessibility system in the Essential series requires extra hardware to pull off. So it's not something that we're able to add to previous products that we have. It's something we can consider for future products, and implementing it in these first recorders with a bit of a hurdle that we had to get over, and it took quite a bit of time to pull it off. But now we've done it, and so if we choose to do it again, it should be a lot easier for us.
Yeah, well, that's great that you have. So yeah, I'm swapping out the P4 for the H4. But
swapping it out.
how would one? So like, if I want to record something from my Mac onto the H4, make sure I get the model number correct. How would one go about doing that?
So you can't do it over USB. You can get USB audio going from the H4 into the computer, but not the other way. I would say that you have two options. One is to use the loopback to record both the recorder and the computer audio onto the computer together, or you can use the headphone out jack from your computer into the 1/8-inch jack on the H4 Essential, and that way you can get the computer audio going into the H4 Essential.
Okay, so how would I send the H4 live out to the computer? How would I do that?
So that you would do over USB. Hook it up on USB audio interface, and you could have the audio. You would use the loopback in that case if you wanted to combine the computer audio with the H4 Essential audio, and then any program you open up, whether it be recording software or video conferencing software, you select the H4 Essential as the input device, and the audio from the inputs of the recorder go, and then if you have loopback activated, audio from other software on the computer will also circle back and go in to the computer.
Oh, so like if I turn on loopback on the H4, then anything I play on the computer will go into the Zoom call.
That's correct.
If I want. And loopback, is that like in one of the menus then to activate it?
Yeah, when you're in audio interface mode is where you will see that loopback feature.
So like when I have it as USB mic or
on and off.
Okay. Maybe you could guide me through it, because I know how to use the H1. Are the menu buttons like similar, like to turn on the guide on the H4? Because I think the H4 has extra buttons, doesn't it? That I don't know about. Or is the layout pretty much the same?
In totality, it probably has less buttons, and to me, it's actually a little easier to navigate because you have on the H1 Essential, there is a menu, but a lot of the main functions are on buttons on the front of the unit. On the H4 Essential, the menu is operated with just a scroll wheel and an enter button, which I find a little easier to use than the 4 regular buttons on the H1 Essential. And so I think the menu is a little bit easier to navigate, and yeah, we can get together and set it up together if we need to. It's a function that seems like it's going to be difficult to set up, but actually when you end up doing it, it's pretty easy.
So, like, how would I set up the guidance? Because if I get it tomorrow, obviously I want to set up the guidance. How do I do that when it asks to set it up? Where would I do?
Like the voice guide.
Yeah, to set up the voice. How do I say yes to that?
When you turn it on, it will ask, and then on the right side of the unit there is a scroll wheel and an enter button beneath it, and so you use the scroll wheel to move, and it will read out. Do you want to do beep only? Do you want English plus beep, or off? And so you scroll to English plus beep, and then you hit the enter button, which is right next to the scroll wheel, and then it's activated.
All right. Does the scroll wheel kind of look like a volume wheel, or?
Yeah, it's similar to a volume wheel.
All right, I'll have to check it. Hopefully, I get it tomorrow.
Yeah, and you're familiar with some technology, so I think you'll it'll
I'll figure it out.
be fairly intuitive for you. Yeah.
All right. Cool. This is interesting.
My question is, with that kind of a recorder, how do you record anything without having to be connected to a PC?
Sure, a great question. So all three of the recorders can take micro SD cards, and so they have a slot on the side. You put in the SD card. It will ask you to format that SD card. Actually, first it will ask you if you want to run a test on the card, which you don't have to do unless you're using kind of like an off-brand card that you think might have some problems and you want to test it out to make sure it will work okay. And then it will ask you if you want to format the card. And formatting, anybody who's ever put an SD card into a camera or any sort of external gear might recognize the term. And it just means, putting the file structure and everything onto that card that is required for the recorder to use it. And then after that, every time you hit the record button, the audio files will save to that SD card. You can use SD cards up to 1 terabyte in these three recorders, so quite large.
Wow.
And just for kind of reference, if you had an H1 Essential, which records stereo, 2-channel audio, and you put a 1 terabyte card in there, you would be able to record around 650 hours of audio.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, and then for the H6 Essential, which maxes out at 8 channels, the 6 inputs plus a stereo mix, that would be like right around like 150 hours, something like that you'd be able to record. And that is if you're using every single channel at 32-bit float 48K.
Right, but can you do it I'm sorry, sorry about that. Can you do it anywhere? Like if you're out on the go, like let's say if you want to record your voice in a car or in somebody else's house?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the H1 Essential runs on 2 AAA batteries. The H4 Essential runs on 2 AA's, and the H6 Essential runs on 4 AA's. So as long as you've got batteries in it and you've got the SD card in there, anywhere you are, you could be recording audio.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyone else have any hands? Because I just came up with some more questions for him. If nobody else has any hands.
I think Preston's got his hand up too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a 2-parter. So, when you're ready, Samuel, this is gonna be a 2-parter. So the first part of my question is, what has been your favorite feedback you've gotten so far regarding the line of Zoom recording products? And also, the second question, the second part of my question is, have they come up with any Bluetooth support for that, or is there going to be any Bluetooth support in the future for that, do you think?
Sure. So favorite feedback. The feedback I always love hearing the most is when people are surprised at how easy it is to record good sounding audio. And so, I mean, not, the process of being able to put in the batteries and SD card and hit record, anybody can hit some buttons. People get more nervous about, I'm not actually going to make a recording that sounds good though. I don't know what I'm doing. And that is just completely wrong. Anybody using one of these recorders, you'd be shocked at how easy it is to get incredible sounding audio without having to edit the audio a bunch afterwards. One of my favorite things to do, because I go around and do trainings at various places on these products, is I bring an acoustic guitar with me. I take a recorder, I give it to somebody in the crowd, and I tell them to point it at me and hit record. And then I plug it into speakers and I play it back. And every single time, without fail, the audio sounds amazing. And so when people have that realization themselves that, wow, I just recorded really good audio and I didn't think I would be able to do that, I love that. As far as technical feedback goes, favorite's a weird word, but there was a lot of things about an accessibility system that I didn't realize or know would be an important thing. I'm trying to think of a good example. One is that the arming buttons on the H4 and H6. So, depending on the inputs you use, you'd hit the arm button for that input, and that turns it on so that you can use it. There's no way to tell. There's a beep when you hit that arming button, but there's no way to tell if you turned it on or off. And something for just something I never even thought about. Another one is the when you go to update the firmware on one of these units, at some point the accessibility system turns off, and then it's there's no guide to help you through that process. So
I wonder why that happens, because we kind of need that.
Absolutely. And I'll be honest, that's a difficult one because firmware update processes kind of put the whole system into a different mode and all this kind of thing. We're investigating it and we're working on it. But, just that general concept of, that is all feedback that it's very hard for me to think about myself. And so me being a person that needs to, gather the feedback and get it to our engineers so that they could do what they need to do. I love it when I'm getting feedback that it's impossible. It's, very hard for me to come up with myself. So that's kind of, my feeling on that. As far as Bluetooth support. So on the H4 Essential and H6 Essential, there is a slot on there for what's called the BTA1 Bluetooth adapter. And that is a separate accessory you need to purchase and put into the recorder. And once you do that, you can connect over Bluetooth to iOS only right now. And we have a free app for the H4 Essential and H6 Essential, just called H4 Essential Control or H6 Essential Control. Now, to be fully clear, those apps are not fully accessible. Obviously, if you're using, the gestures and the voiceover built into the iPhone, a lot of the functions will work, but we did not go through and program that software to work perfectly. So, if you're looking to be able to remotely hit record or things like that, that app is available. That is not audio over Bluetooth though. That is just control. So the H6 Essential and H4 Essential do not have a way of getting Bluetooth audio into it. That is not a feature of those recorders. But you do have that Bluetooth control option.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still good to know. At least, any prospective customer that decides to get either the H4 or H6 will come to know that, maybe some parts won't work, or maybe there's some backup plans to be in place. So yeah, that's some good stuff. Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you, Preston.
And okay, Rachel, I know you're intrigued by all this audio stuff, and you're going to be
definitely.
and and you're going to be jumping for tears of glory when you get a new product. So I'm going to give the floor to you now.
All right. Well, does anybody else have any questions for him? Because before I do have a couple more, but does anyone else have any more questions for him? Before
I hope you're taking notes.
Oh, I'm trying.
Yeah, that's really interesting that the
Yeah.
recorder has the control app, and I heard demos of it. It's really good. Um, Surprisingly, it's not available on Android. I don't think it is also available on
Yeah,
Android
and
because
I'm
it's
an Android
a
user.
platform.
Come on,
Yeah,
Samuel.
yeah,
You
get it
gotta
for
make your
Android
stuff
too.
available for Android. Give us a
Both
program.
platforms.
I apologize. I wish I had a magic wand and I can make everything happen, but perhaps it's something we'll see in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. All right. So, any more hands, or can I interrogate him some more?
Yeah. There's no hands right now, so I
All
was
right, then
actually gonna say that I had a recorder from Zoom before the P4 actually, and Samuel, you might remember the recorder because you are a product specialist after all, and you know all the Zoom recorders. There's the recorder that had two microphones, not the smaller ones, but like the two big size microphones wrapped in a cage, like a square cage, and then you have the soft buttons on the left hand side of the bottom next to the display screen, and then it takes a pair of two AA batteries. Do you remember the model of that recorder?
I probably the H2 or the H2N.
Oh, so that's the recorder I had. I probably had the H2N, most
Yeah,
likely.
yep, and that had right, it had kind of it was like a rectangular shape. And the microphones were on the top of the unit, but it could like stand up on a table. And then,
Yep, yep.
yep, that was the H2. That was so if it was the original H2, which came out in 2007, that was the second audio handheld audio recorder that Zoom ever came out with.
Wow, that's impressive. That was the first time that I ever
that's
owned that
cool.
recorder because that was not accessible, but the quality of the recording was fantastic. I mean, I had to return it. I bought it from Sweetwater. No, no, not from Sweetwater. I bought it from Z-Sounds at the time. This was before I discovered Sweetwater. And I had to return it because of its inaccessibility. But the quality on the recording was fantastic. I was able to listen to audio recorded on the recorder with the two stereo microphones, and the quality alone, it's just fantastic to hear audio
Eh,
from different perspectives of a Zoom. And now with the Essential, like you said, you can place it in front of a singer or in this case, out in the crowd. Tonight I'm actually going to a karaoke event, and I'm actually going to a Mexican restaurant that does karaoke every Friday night. So this is the first time that I'm going to go to a third karaoke place. And the fact that, if I were to take the recorder with me, which I'm probably not because I have to socialize and things of that nature, but, because I'm using it as a desktop unit, but I know that for a fact that you guys will be coming out with an accessory pack. Could you give the listeners kind of a preview of the accessory pack that's in work in progress, the accessory pack that's going to be available for purchase soon for
Yeah,
the
sure.
essential
So
recorders?
yep, there will be an accessory pack for each one of the essential recorders. So it'll be the H1 essential accessory pack, the H4 essential accessory pack, and the H6 essential accessory pack. And each one of them will contain three things. A hairy windscreen, which is something you could put over the microphones for recording outdoors to avoid wind noise. The second is a protective carrying case. And the third is a AC adapter with a USB cable because that's where you go in AC power. Um,
Okay.
and so and it's a different case for each product. So once those come out, make sure you get the right accessory pack for your product, and you'll have yourself a hairy windscreen, a protective case, and an AC adapter. I'm not sure
Wow.
exactly when those will be available. It'll be in the coming weeks.
Oh, nice. yeah, I would love to have one of my own accessory pack, just for saying thank you for, sending feedback and for us, myself and Rachel for providing feedback, not just myself and Rachel, but all
Yeah,
the other
well,
users. It
we'll
would be
probably have
cool
to
to have
buy
it.
those. But anyway,
Yeah.
does anyone else have anything else?
All right, Rachel, I think you're up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Um, so yeah, I guess, yeah, I came up with a couple more questions. So I'm actually going to be purchasing the Shure MV7X, that I can use with the H4. I have the MV7, but I want the MV7X because I heard that's actually better. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that actually is a better mic. But let's say, um, well, there's a couple of questions about it. So let's say I wanted to use both the stereo mics and the Shure MV7X. So I have to arm each channel like every time I want to record.
Yep. So you would want to make sure the for the microphones on top, the button is labeled mic. So you want to have mic armed, and then you have input one and input two, whichever one you plug the mic, the MV7X into. Just make sure you arm that track, and then if you're recording at 44.1 to 48 kilohertz, which most people do, 96 kilohertz is available, but is overkill for a lot of applications. When you hit record on the SD card, you'll end up with 3 files. The first file is the stereo audio from the microphones built on top. The second one would be the individual track of the MV7X microphone, and then the third will be a stereo mix of both the built-on microphones and the MV7X. And if you
Okay,
are
cool.
recording at 96K, then you won't get the stereo mix of them. But if you're recording at 48K, you will. Now that's where the mixer function comes in, because there's a mixer button on the recorder, and when you hit that, it brings up a mixer where you can adjust the levels of the built-on mics and the Shure MV7X. And so you could use that to balance the audio for what you're hearing in your headphones, as well as what's recording to the stereo mix.
Cool. So, and then like the arm buttons, are they pretty? Is there like, I wonder, because obviously the manual has pictures of the buttons. Do you know if there's like a text manual that you could like tell me which buttons do what, so I kind of know what to expect?
Sure. So we are working on button layout documents that we'll be able to release. But we'll talk after the show, because I might have a draft I could share with you.
Cool. And okay, so then I arm each track. Arm each track. I guess what I could do, well, so the XLR inputs are those are also 1/4 inch, right? So what if I connected my phone and used a 1/4 inch input? I could record calls on the H4.
So, if you had the right cables, because you need an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch splitter, because that input is only mono. You could go into on the H4 Central, there is a 1/8 inch input on the side. And if you use that input, it will actually override the 2 built-on microphones. So you wouldn't be able to use those and that input at the same time. But that
Oh,
would be, I think, the easiest way to get the phone audio, because then you could use just an 1/8 inch to 1/8 inch cable from your phone.
okay. But I can't use that and the stereo mics at the same time? Because I wanted to record both
Correct.
sides of the conversation.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
So,
wanted to record
and
both
we'll talk
sides of
about
it.
it. Well, yeah, we'll have to talk maybe after the show, because there's so many ways you could set it up. You could set it up so that you record with software on the computer and just get the H4 Central audio going in there and record the phone call there. Yeah, it's not like you had the P4, and that had the phone input specifically for that function. And the H4
Yeah.
Central doesn't have that, but we could surely figure out a setup that will work.
Yeah, I missed that about the P4, but unfortunately, I can't really use the P4 because, well, it's kind of inaccessible. So I have to kind of give that up, unfortunately. But
Yeah, so and it's something, maybe in the future there's a product that combines the two. Who knows?
who knows? All right. Any other questions, guys?
I still have mine still, so I'm
Okay,
not giving
go ahead,
mine up
JC.
anyway. Yeah, no, I was
You
saying I still have my P4. That's why I said I still have
Oh,
mine.
right.
So I'm not
Yeah.
giving mine up anytime soon. So it's but the accessory pack, the cable, is that one of those cables that actually sticks in? It's not detachable on the AC adapter, or is it detachable just like the microphone, the microphones on the H1 6?
Yeah, so the going into the recorder is just like a USB-C. So it's a standard USB-C cable with type A on the other side, and then the wall wart part of it is kind of just like any other phone charger
Oh,
um,
okay. It's like a
that
standard
you'd
wall wart.
use.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, okay. No, I was just kind of curious because, you know.
One other interesting thing you could do, though, if you're out in the field and you need super extended battery life, is you can use USB battery packs. You know, the ones that you'd use to charge your phone could be used to charge one of these recorders.
Oh, yeah, I've
Oh,
seen
yes,
those. Yeah.
that's a great idea. Oh, one more thing I forgot to ask. Because I'm buying mine first, and then maybe possibly I might buy one for my girlfriend because she's interested. But how portable is the H4? Like, because I know the H1 is about the size of a TV remote. How portable is the H4?
It might be like if you put two H1 Essentials next to each other, something about that size is still very, very portable. The H6 Essential is the only one you could say is like a little bigger than like, fits in your hand per se. That being said, still very easy to put in a backpack to carry around, not nothing too crazy.
Okay, so she could use that then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have mine on a tripod. I just got it yesterday. It's amazing. Now I don't have to worry about handling noises.
Yeah, and
Which,
that's a great point. If you're ever using one of these recorders handhelds, handling noise is something that's impossible to completely eliminate. But one of the best things you could do if you're trying to reduce it is to put the recorder onto a tripod or a pistol grip or something like that, so that when you're holding it, or even when you put it down on the table, it avoids getting any of the outside handling noise in your recordings.
yeah, because I use Club Deck, which is the desktop app for Clubhouse, and I intend to use that a lot, especially for the backstage karaoke that happens every Saturday nights. And a lot of people have noticed, you know, difference in the quality of the microphone. I mean, I tried it in stereo mode, but they're like, oh, you're clipping a lot in stereo mode. And I think the reason is because the quality on the recording, even though it's in 32-bit float, unfortunately, when you're in USB mic mode, it only captures the audio in 24-bit, not 32-bit float, which I wish
Right.
it would have had, but nah, yeah, it's okay. I just wish that it had um, 32-bit float. That would have been much easier, so that way it wouldn't clip. But if
Yeah.
you're recording, that's a whole different level. And another way I thought of is that if you're recording and you want, because WAV files are big size files, and it's large to send via email. But what I have done is I have took the WAV file and I sent it over to my computer. Now, this is only for Mac OS, sadly. You can't, well, you could do it on Windows with other programs, but for me, this is how I do it. I took the WAV file, sent it over to QuickTime Player, and then I exported the audio, imported into the recorder as an M4A file, and then I was able to send an audio message or whatever recording, rename it to whatever, and then send it as an M4A to
Yeah,
my friends. That's much faster to reduce file size.
personally, I don't use QuickTime because I prefer my files to be in MP3 format. So what I do is I open the WAV file in WavePad, which is cross-platform for Mac or Windows, or Fission, which is a Mac product made by Rogue Amoeba, and then I do my necessary edits, because any audio guru will tell you that editing in WAV is always better because you don't lose audio quality. So you edit the WAV file, do the edits you need to do, and then export it to MP3, which is lossy.
Yep, and WavePad is available both as a free and a paid option on macOS as well. And Wave. I mean, it does have some limitations in the free version. But if all you want to do is play the file and convert, then WavePad is the way to go. But if you want some more features, you have to pay for more added features.
Yep. I have the paid version.
Yeah, there is also a free version too. So anyway, so does anyone else have any questions? Or I don't think so. But Preston, you have one?
Well, I don't. I was going to say this is very fascinating, and I learned the whole world of audio in just one sitting. So, definitely, Samuel, keep up the good work, and I know for me and for everybody else here, you're welcome back anytime to let us know about new features, and also we'll link the this product in our show notes as well. Definitely. So, thank you
Yeah,
for your help.
We will
Excellent.
Yep, we'll definitely put it in our show notes. We will definitely put the link. And if anyone would like to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that if they have any further questions or comments?
Sure. So a couple things. The first is that I invite everybody to stay tuned to our YouTube channel, because we're gonna have some informational videos coming out about these products. But more importantly, when we do come out with our first firmware update for the accessibility system, one of the things I'm going to do, being that the update process is not an accessible process, is make a video specifically about updating the firmware and guiding you through that process. And so, stay tuned for those YouTube videos when that firmware update comes out, to help with that. And then if anybody would like to reach out to me directly, if you have questions or you have one of the recorders and you want to provide some feedback, I can be reached at, my email is sgreene, Greene, at zoom-na.com. And I'm going to love to hear from you.
Well, we do want to thank you for coming on the podcast. I know it's been a very busy path for you guys on those recorders. I know it has been taking the blind community by storm, and we're looking forward to testing the next update when that comes out. And we are so looking forward to finding out what's new, and of course the accessory pack when that becomes available. Certainly windscreen for me is not needed, but it is there in case I need to essentially use it. But the recording is just amazing, and you guys have done such a good job, and we hardly can't thank you enough for the team. I know the team in Japan has been working hard, and you guys are located in New York, so maybe one of these days I'll have to visit you guys. Now that I'm in New York, I'll have to visit you guys and visit the headquarters and find out and explore all the recorders you guys have, and just kind of have a playthrough with all of them one of these
Absolutely.
days.
And, also, there's some trade shows that happen in the city, that we don't always have booths at, but sometimes we attend. So yeah, we'll have to get together.
Yeah, speaking of that, one final question before we sign off. Any chance of you guys going to either ACB or NFB conventions this year?
Difficult to say right now. I know the one convention just passed, out in Anaheim, and something that we never considered before. And I know our management teams are aware of those shows, for consideration, and so I can't say we're going to anything right now, but it is a possibility.
It would be good because honestly, like I said, there's a lot of users who has the recorders. I know Michael Babcock from AT Guys has one of the recorders, and AT Guys is actually selling them. At the time of this recording, they're now selling all of the Zoom products, and I know you guys had a conversation with them, and you had in talks about selling those recorders to the blindness AT store, and yeah, you guys. But hopefully, maybe one of these days, you guys can come to the HCB or NFB convention. That would be sweet if you guys.
Yeah,
But
you know what? That that actually will be swell because we're not only people who do radio and podcasting. There's other people in our community who do it for the passion, the exposure, and just to get some of the dues. So I feel if you go to one of these conventions, you'll be able to get more, shall we say, fans. So
I
yeah,
totally agree. Yeah. Right, right. I mean, everybody's got audio that they might want to record. And a lot of people, never even think about it until they kind of see something in front of them that is like they could be doing this. And so getting the word out there is always good.
yep, yep. Well, thank you so much, Samuel, for taking the time out of your schedule for coming on and for chatting with us. We'll definitely have you back in the future to talk about
Definitely, for
future
sure.
firmware updates and upcoming accessibility changes and tweaks that you guys have on the horizon. And we'll definitely be reaching out if we have any questions or feedback. And it was great having you on, and hopefully you guys will have a great weekend and stuff like that.
All right. Thank you guys so much
Definitely.
for having me. I look forward to talking to you guys some more. And good luck recording out there, everybody.
Yep,
Yes,
yep.
thanks
All
so
right.
indeed.
much.
Yep, thank you, Samuel.
All right. Bye bye.
All right, well, that about wraps it up for this show, but we have one more interview. If you thought this was enough, we have one more, and it's going to be a reuniting with an old friend, basically. We haven't heard
An
from
old
this
friend,
guy
yes.
in a long time, and we finally settled our differences, and we're back together again, and we
You're
basically
back
went.
together again. Oh, are you two dating?
No, no, no,
You
no,
just said
Oh
no.
you're
wow,
back
I see
together
music in the
again.
air.
No, you've reconciled. You're not back together, you
We we
doodles.
we yeah, we basically reconciled our differences is what we meant to say, and we're
Right.
Yeah.
we're friends again, so that's why,
But well, you're friends. You're friends. You've reconciled your friendship together.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
not
yeah,
back together
basically.
as in dating each other, unless
No, no,
you're
no.
bisexual and I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No,
No, I'm
but
just
we
giving
were.
you hell. I know what you
I
meant.
know, yeah, but we reconciled our differences, and the last time I saw this gentleman is at the first was at the friendship circle when we reconciled our differences, and then before that, we talked briefly at the 2021 ACB convention when it was held virtually before they went back to hybrid and virtual. What are we
And
talking about?
actually,
Go
this
ahead,
guy
Preston.
came to our Christmas party last year as well, and most of us have been following his internet radio journey uh,
Mhm.
ever since he started. I started following him when I was in high school, so probably 2011, 2012 for me. But he does good work, and we'll get to hear about all that next time and see what his future holds for his station and the goals he has in check for everyone that will
Mhm.
enjoy.
Yep, yep, and we're
Exactly. I was
yeah.
with him when Audio Access FM was a thing. I actually did a podcast station to help people win a laptop.
Oh,
Oh,
nice,
wow.
That was
nice.
fun. Yeah, I was Crazy Stacy 25 back then, which that name holds fond memories for sure, but I
Yep,
do
and I
like my
remember
middle
when
name
I
better.
Yep, and I remember when I was actually with him when they were giving away a Station Playlist Studio package, and at the time they were using Windows, and he did a show, and at the end of the show they picked a winner, and the winner received a Station Playlist Studio package, and that was a lot of fun. Who are we
And
talking about? No,
I
sorry,
did get
go ahead.
placed in a laptop drawing too. I didn't win it, but it was cool. Taking
No,
advantage of
somebody
it.
else won it. I could have won it,
Yeah.
but I decided to. I decided instead of entering the drawing, I decided to help with giving it away.
Yeah,
I decided
yep,
to help him with it instead of. I could have, because my laptop at the time was crappy, so I could have tried to get a new laptop, but instead I decided to help because
yeah.
helping is, yeah.
Yep. So, anyways, all that to say, we're talking about none other than Mr. David Dunphy. We're gonna have him on the show tomorrow. We as a team are so looking forward to having him back again on our family, and we're just so excited to talk about his radio journey to what is now known as 2020 The Beacon. And we did give a brief mention on it briefly, but we are going to mention it quite more tomorrow and maybe give you access to where you can find the virtual studio. And they did have a special fundraiser that took place, and Preston was a part of it, right, Preston? You appeared at
Yes.
it?
Yes, I did appear at it. I didn't contribute, but I did listen in off and on throughout the day, uh, and I know he'll explain it more on our next episode. But it's all about making wish and making sure that all the children with cancer have their wishes come true. And
Oh,
it goes
Aw,
without saying, it's been a yearly thing for him. He's been doing it since I think since his mother passed on.
aw.
But I didn't really partake in that one until I think late 2014 or 15 when KJSC Radio was contributing in broadcasting it for the full 24 hours. It's basically a 24-hour day event, one day before the Christmas holiday, or should I say, 1 week before the Christmas holidays. So he definitely believes in
interesting.
giving back and
Yeah,
also
that's
giving the
great.
good.
Yeah, that is
So
that is interesting. But as I said, people, we will let you know tomorrow. It is at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so you do not want to
yeah,
miss this fun,
yeah,
glorious
3 p.m.
interview.
recording time, and
Yep,
the bonus episode will be uploaded pretty much right before our recording date next Tuesday.
yep. And we'll be back to normal next week. And I gotta tell you, man, we are doing interviews like hotcakes. We're getting not everyone under the sun because everyone's schedule is different,
Yeah.
but we're trying to get at least several folks as we can. I mean, we're trying as hard as we can, but if they're busy, I understand it. It's their fault sometimes because they're busy, but whenever we can and whenever we get around to it, we're going to
Yep.
book the interviews as necessary. And if you guys want to, you can get in touch with either myself or you can get in touch with the co-owner slash uh, all-around girl, Rachel. Either one of us can get in touch
Yep.
with you guys and we'll let
George,
you know.
Rachel, yep, all of us can. And speaking of which, there will be an interview for Cloud 11, which we're hoping to syndicate as a bonus on Visioncast as well. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of things are happening. We'll be reuniting with an old buddy tomorrow, and it's gonna be a celebration of friendship. And like I said, I have not heard from Mr. Dunphy in quite a while, and he is such a pioneer in radio. He is a radio enthusiast like all of us are.
Yep.
And when you hear his story on what he has become and where he is now, when it comes to the beacon, you'll know exactly what we're talking about, and maybe we can tease him to see if he has funny jokes, cause he's a comedian
Or
too.
we can
So
see if he'll be willing to syndicate Music Mayhem.
we could
That would be
definitely
Yeah,
talk
nice.
about
maybe
that. We'll definitely talk about that
that'll be cool.
because our show is syndicated on your sister station, so anything can happen. But anyway,
Right.
Yep.
guys, we are just about done to wrap this thing up. But again, thank you to Samuel Greene for hopping on the Visioncast Network train to talk with us all about recorders. Tomorrow we're going to shift gears and talk about radio and broadcasting from the life of David Dunphy. We'll talk to him. We'll let him share his perspectives on what he has done in the past and what he's doing now with the Beacon and so much more. And try getting your Kleenex if you can because there might be some moments where let's just say there'll be tears of glory in between. So
Yeah,
try to
right.
get
And
some
I was
Possibly
gonna
Kleenex,
say,
Tears of
possibly
Glory.
tears of glory. We'll let you know, but get your Kleenex
and
just in
actually,
case.
guys, I'm sure we'll share some of our memories too of his radio journey that we have witnessed over the past while.
Yeah, I do have one, but I'll save it for tomorrow because it's one that I really hold dear to my heart when I was on KJSC radio at the time, and it's a memory that I really remember. And I don't remember the year, but I'm sure he'll probably remember because he's more of a
Yeah.
radio geek like I am, or we are. But anyways, that about does it for now. Thank you to Salvis and to everyone that could make it. And we will see you guys either tomorrow for the interview with Mr. Dunphy from the Beacon, or we will see you guys next week for our normal episode, which is every Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you to everybody for checking us out, supporting us, and please give us a listen and give it a thumbs up and show support by hitting the notification so that way when we upload new content on YouTube, you'll be the first to know when our stuff gets uploaded. So thank you to everybody. Thank you, Rachel, for letting me host the interview with you. And it's been fun. And we will see y'all either tomorrow with Mr. Dunphy or next week.
Yep, that received. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk at you later.
See ya.
Bye.
See you later.